All right, today we're going to dive into the story of a real powerhouse development suite, one that was a cornerstone for high-performance computing for, get this, over 25 years. But here's the crazy part. It had 6 different names during its life.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Imagine one single piece of software having to reintroduce itself 6 different times with a totally new name. It sounds a little bit like an identity crisis, right? Well, that is the exact story we're going to unpack today.
So first things first, let's just unravel this mystery. Just how many different hats did this one tool actually wear?
And here they are. Now, this wasn't 6 different products, not at all. It was one single tool on a really long journey. It kicked things off as Sun Pro compilers, had a really popular run as Sun Studio, and then finally ended its life as Oracle Developer Studio. You know, each name change really marked a new chapter in its evolution, usually reflecting a shift in company strategy or a major acquisition. But okay, a name is just a name. What did this tool actually do? Let's pop the hood and look inside the toolkit to really get what its core job was.
At its absolute heart, this was an advanced platform for developers who were deep in the worlds of C, C++, and Fortran. We're talking about the languages of scientific computing, high-frequency trading, and serious system-level programming. This thing was built for performance-critical work on Solaris and Linux. No fluff.
You know, probably the best way to think about it is like a Swiss Army knife for high-performance developers. It wasn't just one thing. It was this completely integrated set of tools that took you all the way from writing your code to compiling it, and then, crucially, analyzing it to squeeze out every last drop of performance.
So, let's break that down. The first major piece of this toolkit was its powerful suite for what's called mixed language development. This is where the code actually gets written and put together. So the core of the toolkit included these absolutely world-class compilers for C, C++, and Fortran. It also had the legendary DBX debugger for hunting down even the nastiest bugs, and the Sun Performance library, which was just packed with highly optimized math routines. This was a truly professional-grade setup.
But you know, writing code is only half the battle. What made this suite truly special were its tools for advanced application analytics. This is where you go from code that works to code that flies.
This suite gave developers some serious superpowers. The performance analyzer could pinpoint exactly which lines of your code were slowing everything down. The code analyzer was like a security guard, spotting potential holes. And the thread analyzer? Oh man, that was a lifesaver for finding these super tricky bugs in multi-threaded apps. You know, like when 2 parts of a program try to grab the same resource at the same time. A total mess. Now, all of these powerful command line tools needed a home, right? A central hub where a developer could actually get work done. And that was its full-featured Integrated Development Environment, or IDE for short. And they did something really smart. They based the IDE on the popular NetBeans platform so it felt modern and familiar to a lot of people. This brought all those powerful, geeky command line tools into a single graphical interface, which also made things like cloud development way easier. So we know what it had, but what made it so special? Well, that brings us to its core strength. This relentless focus on optimizing for peak performance, especially on its home turf, the Sun SPARC and x86 hardware. The key, the real secret sauce, was a shared, common optimizing backend for all its compilers. Think of it like a master engine. It didn't matter if you were writing C, C++, or Fortran, your code was fed into this single, incredibly sophisticated engine that was designed to do one thing: produce the fastest possible machine code. Now, this looks super technical, I know, but the ideas behind it are really clever. For instance, profile-guided optimization would literally watch your program run with real data, then it would go back and recompile it to make the most common parts even faster. And automatic parallelization would try to rewrite your code on its own to use multiple processor cores at once, speeding things up for you automatically. Pretty cool, right? All this technology, though, it didn't just appear overnight. Nope. It was the result of a long, long evolution. So let's take a quick trip through its history to see where it all came from. The whole journey began way back in 1991 with a tool called SparkWorks at Sun Microsystems. You can see the key rebrands over the years, with Sun Studio probably being one of its most well-known identities. The huge turning point, of course, was when Oracle acquired Sun in 2010. That led to the tool's final phase, which ended with its last release in 2017, after a run of over 25 years.
So what happened after that final release? Where does it all stand today? That brings us to its legacy and its current status.
Well, active development basically stopped right after that 12.6 release in July 2017. After a quarter-century of innovation, this legendary toolchain had finally reached the end of the road.
But here's an interesting little twist. It's not completely gone. Oracle still makes that final version available for free. Anyone can download and use it. However, if you want any security or functionality patches, you'll need a paid support contract. So for most people, it's basically preserved but frozen in time.
Ultimately, its legacy is probably best summed up by this quote right here. For decades, it really was the flagship development product for its platform. It was the first-party, best-in-class tool designed to get the absolute most out of Sun and later Oracle hardware. And that leaves us with a final and, I think, really important question. Today, we live in an era of universal, one-size-fits-all tools like VS Code that run everywhere on everything. The story of Oracle Developer Studio, it kind of makes you wonder, is there still a place for these highly specialized, deeply integrated toolchains that are built for just one specific platform? Or was it the last of a dying breed? Definitely something to think about.